I'm Max Verstappen, and here we are with Up to Speed.
Who is going to come out on top?
It's so important, arguably more important than the relationship you have with your partner.
Attending the Super Bowl with Kim Kardashian, Kendall Jenner, Cara Delevingne. I mean, I would have loved to have been in that bowl.
Is this the last year for Lewis? Is this the last season?
Beginning of the end. It's already relevant, and she's just going to make it that much more relevant.
If you try and get Max to do some of this, he will just get up and walk out.
You need to have the bone structure underneath it, don't you, to really pull it off. And if you don't have that, then you're just putting lipstick on a pig.
Up to Speed.
Right, guys. First episode.
Yeah.
Big build-up. Here we are. How are you feeling?
I'm buzzing. Big build-up, big billboards, guys. We're going to be on a billboard. Have you been on a billboard before?
Only when I was climbing up to borrow some light bulbs.
Well, it's a first for us all together, a little dream team.
You must have been on a billboard in your time, DC, when you were
Yes,
advertising
actually.
watches or fashion
Times
brands.
Square.
Just
Wow,
a
that's
small
not that
billboard.
bad.
When
there.
I won the Monaco Grand Prix for the second time,
Oh,
then and it was unbelievable. I went on the David Letterman show.
Let's just get all the humble brags
Yeah.
out
You asked
right
me
at the
that
With
start.
a
You said
little
you
bit of
hadn't been on
humility.
one.
Well, it just came back to me. There's a lot of stuff locked away in this memory
That's
bank.
something
Been a
you
while.
forget?
It's been a while, right?
Like, you're all young and fresh. You live here in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
front of
yeah.
your mind. I've got a lot of stuff locked away in the back there that I
Well-
need to bring out. But that was pretty cool.
And I'm sure that we're
Amazing.
going to get all the time to bring all of that wonderful knowledge and experience and stories out on this podcast. So make sure you start unlocking those vaults because we want to hear it all. Anyway, well, you guys did hear it at the top of the show. That was indeed Max Verstappen. Yet again, he's beaten the competition to it. And he is our first guest on the show. And you're going to get to hear all of that in our episode on Thursday. But it's smashing stuff, right? Starting with a bang.
I have to say, it's an interview that you and DC did. We've listened back to it. It's fantastic. You know, I've known Max a very, very long time, since he started out in open wheel. And I've genuinely, not just bigging it up because it's our interview, I've rarely heard him so open and just natural. And
You raced him, did you not?
I did. You raced him.
Did you race him?
I did. Florida Winter Series back in 20. I shared a track with him. I can't claim I raced
Will's
him.
been
I've gone with the
desperate.
billboard, so I had to give Will something. He beat Max Verstappen.
No. I think my best lap was 2.5 seconds, probably off his worst.
Oh,
lap,
well, that's
but
still less than
still-
DC, who allegedly
I
was
was-
5 seconds off.
Yeah, don't give away the interview.
Sorry,
I
well,
could
more
have
of that.
It's called a tease,
Coming
DC.
soon.
It's called a tease.
Right, well, I want to teach you guys something before we start.
Oh, okay.
Something Gen Z, something young. That our listeners will know. Don't be
Set the
terrified.
tone.
Why are you looking at me when you say that?
I'm looking at all of you. I mean, along with all the TikToks I'm going to make you do. But I feel like when something great happens,
Yes.
we should do something called snaps. You'll know it. You're
no.
young and cool with
What?
me.
No, do you know what the issue is with
That's-
me? So here's the thing. I'm not a Gen Z, and obviously up until recently I didn't have kids, and still my kid doesn't talk or isn't, with the people. And
Yeah.
so, you guys might be up to date with the stuff because of your kids that I'm just like completely missed out on. So please, I probably need this more than they do.
Should I teach you?
What is
Please
this?
do.
What's
So this is snaps. So when, instead of clapping, because clapping's, quite aggressive, something, you just said, well, aggressive like to a mic. Someone listening, if you're clapping,
Oh, look, I need to stop you there. Someone told me over the weekend
Tell it.
that putting a thumbs up as an emoji was
It's the worst.
passive aggressive.
It is.
What? Totally
Sorry,
is.
DC, you
100%.
sign your
Even I know that.
WhatsApps. You sign your WhatsApps off at the end and you put DC. Anyway, what we're going to do when something good happens,
Yes, that's my
e.g.
initials.
Max coming on the podcast, that's a snap. So it's like, snaps for the team. So we
Right.
just snap.
It's like an elegant clap.
Exactly
Oh, I
that.
do know what that is. I just didn't realize it was called a snap.
You're just making stuff up.
No, this used to be the way that people applauded in coffee shops in the early 90s. It was all
like
very
in theatre, no?
very zen, very chilled.
I wasn't a thought then. But your pod, when we had Max on the pod, which is going to be coming on Thursday, that's a snap. So should we practice?
Right, I tell you one thing. If you try and get Max to do some of this, he will just get up and walk out.
If there's anyone that can do it, it's me. Mark my words. At the end of this season,
I
Max
believe you.
Verstappen.
Could you stop staring at me? That's slightly passive aggressive.
I don't see it catching on. I got to be honest with you.
Okay, well, let's talk about the interview a little bit. I know that we're not going to tease it too much because you guys are going to get the full episode this coming Thursday, so we're not going to give it all away right now. But
He was brilliant.
I did ask him the question that everybody wants to know.
Mm-hmm.
Is this your favorite era Formula One, considering all of these big changes? And this is what he had to say.
Probably, I would say least favorite. Yeah, but
Wow.
but yeah, it's just not really enjoyable. I mean, it's not pure Formula One. If anything, I could tell you it's probably like Formula E on steroids.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, please, before you sign off and don't watch F1 this year, trust me, because of that, it's going to be so worth watching regardless of what happens. I'm sure it's going to get ironed out.
Nothing like a bit of positivity to start the season, and that was nothing, TC, like a bit of positivity.
Yeah, but don't you just love Max's honesty? You know, we've all had the opportunity to spend time with him away from a track, and at track and in vision, he can be a bit divisive. You either love him or you hate him. I think Lewis had that earlier in his career as well. But what I've always appreciated is his honesty.
Yeah.
And what in that statement he's not saying is, I'm not going to try, I'm not going to win. You know, he's basically just answering you squeezed that out of him, Naomi. It was great. The headlock I thought was a bit extreme. But anyway, looking forward to that interview being played out. But there's been a lot of people making noises from the test, all talking down their potential. With Mercedes hit the ground in Barcelona with the shakedown, looking pretty good, and then in Bahrain, they spent the whole time saying, "Oh, we're not in good shape. Red Bull are the best. Ferrari seem really quick in the long runs." So I think this is kind of normal this time of year. Nobody wants to claim anything until they see the checker flag in Melbourne.
One thing I did find interesting was the fact that 3 drivers, and they're 3 of the biggest drivers in the sport, the 3 with the most world championships between them, Fernando, Lewis, Max, with the 3 who had the most to say about how difficult these cars were to drive, how complex they were to drive, and as we just heard from Max, not necessarily enjoyable. But that does mean it's going to be a massive challenge for everybody out there, because they're all going to have to relearn how to drive these cars and get the most
I
out
think,
of them.
though, all the 3 guys you just mentioned there, during the last hybrid era with the massive underground ground effect tunnels that they had, they were all a bit negative about the driving experience there. They just want to be back to pure racing, flat out racing from start to finish. So with these new regs, there's a lot more complexity. Management, there's 50% of the energy comes from a battery, 50% comes from an internal combustion engine. So they're actually becoming a lot more the manager of the car rather than the driver purely of the car.
And I think that's where for them the issue comes in, because as a driver, you want to be driving a car from a point of instinct. You're driving, you're trying to get the best out of the car. Now it feels like they almost have to be mechanical inside, making changes, and it just doesn't come naturally, and it doesn't really award the best driver. But if you guys at home are wondering what's happened in F1, we are coming out with an episode that's going to explain these regulations in more depth to you guys very, very soon. So don't worry about that. But what I will say about regulation changes is, whilst, yes, always change comes with a bit of pushback. And yes, this time around, it seems like there's a lot more pushback and there are probably a lot of things that need to be solved. It also comes as a big opportunity. I mean, remember 2009, Brawn came out, smashed it. Then 2014, it became the era where Mercedes dominated. 2022, Red Bull really understood the ground effect era really well. And now the question mark is who's gonna lead here?
What I find so fascinating is that I understand different teams coming out and, saying different things. But in Ferrari's case, Charles came out after Lewis said that this car is slower than an F2 car. Charles came out and called that very harsh. It's so interesting when you see actually team drivers, teammates. We know that your teammate is your biggest competitor. You two will know more than anyone. But do you not find that so fascinating that PR, media, comms, come on, get your drivers intact?
I know, but I find anything that Charles says, I just find so believable. I think I've got a man crush.
So the looks. He is TikTok's favourite.
Yeah.
This time of year is all smoke and mirrors, though, isn't it? Because no team out there wants any of their rivals to know how genuine their pace is. So everything you see from testing, you got to take it all with a pinch of salt. And it's no wonder that every team is publicly saying, "Oh, we're not the favourites. It's definitely our biggest rivals who are the favourites."
Yeah, but the only thing that doesn't make any sense why they would do that, because if you're trying to land new partners and sponsors, you want them to believe they're investing in
something
great
successful.
potential. So, look, my take on it is the following. And I've been in situations, if I go back, way back to those 1998, a time in the distant past, Jolie, try and stay awake while I talk about this. We went on track with an Adrian Newey design car A week later, Adrian Newey is one of the most successful designers in the history of the sport. He's now the technical director and team principal at Aston Martin. We'll come to them in future shows. But we went on track, and the very first laps, the car was half a second quicker than anything that anyone else had done that week. So we immediately brought the car in and put fuel. And fuel is weight is performance. So we slowed the car down. We still enabled ourselves to do proper testing, because you've got to push 100% to find out where your car balance is and how it reacts to changes. But what we effectively did was not show the full potential of the car. Now, of course, the clever engineers in the paddock had already seen that little flash of performance. And the only thing they had to work out was the car underweight when we did that, or was that a genuine time? The bottom line is you can do as much smoke and mirrors as you like. You've got to develop your package. You've got to test your car. And the only time that matters is qualifying in Melbourne. And then the only other thing that matters is a checker flag on the Sunday. I'm going to say, yes, there's all this, checking out what your competitors are doing, but you've got to mind your own business. You've got to develop your own car, and then try and make it the best it can be.
And all the teams will have their professional photographers with their massively long lenses taking snaps and pictures of all those details to see, we think we don't know what's going on. And from a distance, it's really difficult to see what's going on in terms of lap times, as you say, fuel loads, engine modes. Like, there's so much going on that we don't know and we don't see. But the teams have much more information than we do, even about the other teams. And they'll be able to decipher to some extent to know, okay, we need to figure out what Red Bull are doing there, what Mercedes are doing there. And this is what's so funny about this time of the year. It's like, we don't really know, but the teams know what's going on. They know which jokers to hold back and what to release at which point. But as DC very well pointed out, it's when we get to Australia, qualifying goes, when that... Well, there's no flag, really. There's not really a flag. Checkered flag. To be fair, there's a checkered flag at the end of qualifying.
Yeah.
Yep.
When that drops, the BS stops.
Yeah,
Can we say that? BS?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
We just did.
We just did.
All these upgrades you talk about, it's a sort of real world equivalent of a facelift, isn't it? You're looking for something newer and better, more slipstream.
Yeah, but you need to have the bone structure underneath it, don't you, to really pull it off. And if you don't have that, then you're just putting lipstick on a pig, and that's
There's so much technology that's involved. Even in testing, the teams are able to see kind of below the covers.
With the help of those photographers that I mentioned, which will be hiding in corners, as I said, with their long lenses, they're just taking pictures of whatever they can. And actually, ideally, if a car crashes and it gets lifted up and brought back to the paddock, that's the best moment, because then you can get some pictures of the underfloor, which the teams are very secretive about, because there's a lot of information to pick up once that car gets lifted off the ground.
all the way through the winter, through the launches and those rendered photographs with the shadows put in exactly the right place so you can't really see the suspension and you can't really see the floor and what's going on here and there. All the work, all the money that goes into keeping it secret, car rolls out, literally first minute, first test, all the photographers in a garage at the end of the pit lane as it rolls past. That was shutter, by the way. As they roll past, 1,000 photographs sent straight back to base, and you've got everyone back in the brain trust, poring over every minute detail. The second testing starts. What comes with 7 world championships, 4 world championships, 2 world championships in the case of Lewis, Max and Fernando, is a freedom to tell your truth and what you genuinely believe, which you don't have as a youngster still trying to make your way and trying to impress. And you know what? Yes, Formula One has a communications department. Is there a tone of voice that the drivers take? Okay, guys, look, we know the cars aren't exactly what you'd hope for, but please try and polish it up a little bit. Those 3, no one's telling them what to say.
Well, you say that, but we're talking about these drivers like Lewis being able to demand what they want. But, Lewis has come in with a race engineer who is only here for the start of the season.
Mental.
Mad.
Huge question marks there.
You know how important the relationship is with your race engineer. What do you make of this?
I find it absolutely fascinating that Lewis Hamilton left Mercedes and walked into Ferrari alone. He didn't take anyone with him. And he may have brought Angela, his physio, back. She'd gone away towards the end of his Mercedes career. So he had, let's say, someone around him that was a sort of touch point to make him feel comfortable. But every time I left a team, I took an engineer with me.
Yeah.
They're your data bank of knowledge. The relationship with your engineer is the most important relationship in the team, because that's the person who fights your corner in terms of new parts coming into the team. That's the person that gives you all information when you're out on track to define what your strategy is going to be, because the strategist can tell you pit now, but if the driver doesn't come in, you're not pitting now.
Yeah.
So it's so important, arguably more important than the relationship you have with your partner.
And if you consider, I mean, the iconic pairing of Lewis and Bono
Yes.
and how instrumental they were to each other.
Hammer
Huge.
time.
It's the same thing we see with GP and Max. They've got these relationships. Chemistry with a race engineer is so incredibly important. DC, you might remember this. W Series, a series you were part of setting up. Every race, our race engineers would change. And whilst
wow,
that is a
it's tough.
development platform, and that's why they implemented that, is because they wanted us to learn different things from different race engineers. They all come with their own way of doing things, a way of communicating. And actually it was a really good learning exercise, because you go, okay, I love the way that this engineer does that, and I love the way that this one does that, and I really don't like the way that that one does that. And at the
developing
end,
you.
you figure out what you need, what helps you get the most out of yourself and your car and the team. And it kind of feels like that's what Lewis is doing right now. He's kind of like playing musical chairs with engineers. And at this point in his career, when this is such a crucial year for him to, you know, I mean, I don't know, I don't want to say that his years are numbered, because he keeps saying he's going to keep going. But every year you're assuming he wants to put himself in the best possible position to
Well,
win.
I feel Will's got a follow-up point on this, but let me just come back to something Jolie said.
Yeah.
You dropped the line that we all got so used to. It's hammer time. That
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
you know, Peter Bonington, his engineer, when he said that, we knew Lewis was on for a potential victory. Are we getting to the point where people are saying it's retirement time?
And of course, with experience comes age. Reversal of what we normally say. Lewis Hamilton, 41. Fernando Alonso, 44.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think, do you know what we could see? If the start of the season doesn't go the way Lewis is hoping, I reckon he could, you know, call it a day.
I think DC makes the point there that it's more important than the relationship that you have with your partner. But I think it's very similar to the relationship you have with your partner, because when you're with somebody for a long time, you develop a language that you speak to each other, that you inherently understand.
Nice save just after Valentine's. Thank you for
Right,
that.
thanks. But it's as Naomi so rightly points out, you know, that is something that becomes second nature that he had with Bono. And there was the clause in him leaving Mercedes where he wasn't allowed to take anybody with him in the immediacy. But I thought 1 year in, maybe people would follow him across. He's actually lost people over the winter that did come over with him. Mark Hines, his manager, has gone. His press officer has gone. He is losing people that were loyal to him, that he knew, that were part of his enclave. They've disappeared. So, Jolie, when you ask, could Lewis be heading towards retirement? And it's a question we've all got right now. You know, I asked that same question of Max Verstappen. Max has said that he's not going to stay around in Formula One forever. If he doesn't like these regulations and they don't play out for him and he doesn't enjoy racing this car, will Max stay in Formula One for a long time? We were asking the question last year, if Ferrari doesn't work out for Lewis, will this be the end of his time in Formula One? I think it's our first episode, right?
Yeah.
But it
There's
is
so much to get into.
It is a legitimate question that you have to ask before this season begins. Is this the last year for Lewis? Is this the last season? The
beginning of the end.
And we hear a bit of Max's answer in the episode on Thursday.
We do.
But with Lewis, I mean, no one knows. What do you think? You know, both of you as ex-drivers, if you're in Lewis's position, he's been so successful. Are you better, you know, what's the saying? You either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain. And are we seeing that?
Wow, every day's a school day. I'd never heard that expression
Yeah,
before.
me neither,
I love
but it's
that.
great.
Thank you.
God, I'm feeling
I'm adding that to my list of quotes.
Yeah.
So, Naomi, you had if I can say, a shorter racing career than I. I hung in there until until my late 30s.
Yeah.
So when did you realise that the opportunities weren't going to be there for you to fulfil your desires? And I'll come to when I realised. And how do you think that plays into where Lewis might be in his career right now?
Yeah, so my career was shorter than yours, probably less exciting as well. No Grand Prix wins, didn't make it to Formula One. But, you know, COVID played a hand in making me force that decision. And I'm happy that I made that decision when I did, because at some point you've got to look at a situation and ask yourself the question, is this situation still serving me? Like, I'm pouring a lot into it, but am I still getting out of it what I came here for? Am I getting closer to my goals? And ultimately the answer to that for me was no. And so that's why I made made the decision to say, you know what, as much as I absolutely love driving and I am desperate to continue to have a professional career, that's just not where I'm at. And that's when I pulled the plug. But I also, just to go back to the original point of these drivers being outspoken at this point, I think that's why you're seeing the likes of a Fernando, a Lewis, a Max saying clearly, regardless of what the PR team have said, I don't like this, because they're calling for change, and there is still change that can happen, and not overnight. But GC, you were going to tell me about when you made that decision in your career.
When the stopwatch stopped talking to me, the lap times weren't there anymore, and then I realised, you just lose that edge. And I think in footballing terms, I'm not a big football fan, but is it like losing a yard or something is the expression that you just can't get on the ball anymore? So I just wonder whether Lewis has lost that little half a tenth that he had over all his teammates in the past, because the last 3 years he hasn't dominated his teammates in the way he did in the previous 15 years.
And you brought up the point, DC, that the last set of regulations did not play to drivers of a certain generation. You look at your Lewises, your Fernandos. I look at a Daniel Ricciardo or a Valtteri Bottas or a Sergio Perez, who similar generation, pretty much exactly the same generation as a Lewis and a Fernando, certainly a Lewis, who did not get on with those regulations, and ultimately it called an end to certainly Sir Daniel's career and did irreparable damage to Checo's career. But they were all hanging out for these new regulations, all hoping that when they changed towards a seemingly lighter, looser car, it would play to their strengths, right? So it's no wonder, Naomi, as you say, that they are being very open with their feelings towards this, because this was their chance, right? This was their opportunity to get back to a style of car and a style of racing that they loved, that would show the Lewis Hamilton that won 7 titles, right? Because Lewis didn't forget how to drive between 21 and 22. What changed was the car. I don't believe what changed was the driver. But if they don't get cars back this year that play to their strengths, is it the beginning of the end? Or was the beginning of the end 22? And that, I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see that.
It's hard to watch, though. To be
It
honest.
is.
It's hard to watch. It's kind of like Daniel was so hard to watch. That's why I hope he'll be able to turn it around. But at the moment, even if on track, we don't know what it's going to be yet, because Ferrari did do pretty well at that second test, so it could be a great year for them.
And Ferrari's start procedure, apparently,
Is
they're
better
the
than
only
everybody
teams
else.
that don't have any issues. So
Yes.
come Australia, Ferrari might be the only cars that get
10
off the
seconds
grid.
ahead.
Exactly. So you know what? This could be Lewis's year. Let's wait to see. What's definitely the talk of the town is what's going on off track for Lewis and Kim Kardashian.
I think, look, what you guys might not realise is how big this is culturally. When we saw Taylor Swift in NFL terms.
Oh, no. I realised just how massive this is.
You and I, we're on a
I've
team
got
here.
no idea.
So we saw
Totally
Taylor
clueless.
Swift go out with Travis Kelce, right? And just the stock price of NFL, the merch that they were selling, the ticket prices, just because there was a chance that Taylor Swift might be in a box that no one's going to see her at, watching her boyfriend play. And you have a whole audience that we live and breathe F1 all day long. But a lot of people, whether we want to realise and accept that, don't. And they could be your Kardashian fans. And this is now tying in a new sort of fan base. And whatever way we look at it, the more fans, the better. Just like Taylor, it is very big for the sport. And I just have to say, Lewis is loving it. Attending the Super Bowl with Kim Kardashian, Kendall Jenner, Cara Delevingne. I mean, I would have loved to have been in that box.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I think that box might have been a little bit awkward, given that Lewis used to date Kim's sister and she's standing
Allegedly.
behind.
Allegedly.
Well, it's all allegedly, isn't it? Is he dating Kim? Allegedly.
Yes.
One thing I would like to know, because I don't know this. So my daughter's a huge Taylor Swift fan, right? And the thing with Taylor Swift is, wherever she goes, her fan base's money goes. So when she started dating Travis Kelce, Kansas City Chiefs player, Kansas City Chiefs merch went through the roof. Something like a 400% rise in merch sales, which was put down solely to the Taylor Swift effect. Similarly, viewership of the NFL, Kansas City Chiefs games absolutely outshone every other team in the NFL, all because Taylor Swift's fans tuning in.
Well, if Kim is caught wearing a Ferrari merch, that is going to make waves. I can see it happening. Motorsport is so cool already. All the fashion brands make motorsport-esque collections, and it's not like you're going to convert them. It's already relevant, and she's just going to make it that much more relevant.
We talk brands. Can we just say they were seen together at the Super Bowl in the Apple box with Apple representatives there? If we were cynical, might we say they're just trying to promote the fact that Formula One's on Apple in America this year? If I was a cynical person, Might I
Or
say that?
keeping
Maybe.
up with the Hamiltons.
What's
Maybe
Kim
it's
got
just
to do to
love.
gain with that? Yeah. What's Kim going to gain from doing that?
She doesn't exactly need a free Super Bowl ticket.
Maybe they're just mates and
She just wants love. Everybody needs a cuddle from time to time.
Oh, DC.
I like that. I hope it's real. I genuinely hope it's real.
I think it's real. And I think if she's bringing that attention about Formula One to people who've never seen or heard about it, then there's absolutely a potential that those people will convert into fans. Will they be the fans that tune in for 24 races and get up at the crack of dawn to watch a race? No. Will they still be figuring it out and go, what's DRS or what's active aero? Yes, 100%. But they could be opening doors to people.
I agree with you in terms of older minds can be influenced. I'm easily led, by the way, team. So
Well, it's good to hear because I'm going to be getting you guys to be doing all funny lip syncs that if you do want to see, make sure you are following us on socials at Up to Speed Show and make sure to comment, subscribe, leave a review, repost it, do all the things that social media loves to see coming. Now, we've been getting so many questions since launching, and I'm told that this one is a very special one, so I'm excited to see it. Let's find out who it is.
Hey David, Will, Naomi, and Jolie. It's your boy KSI, and I want to know, how do F1 drivers get their necks like that? Like, what do they do in the gym? Especially like you, David, bro. You've got an interesting neck, so I just want to know.
Ask him, David, tell the story about why your jaw's wide.
Okay, that.
Ah, KSI. I mean, yeah, snaps for KSI. He's kind of, I love it. You guys are so in sync. He really, thumbs up. He really has kind of changed the creator game, and I love to see it. I mean, for anyone that doesn't know who he is from the world of social media, you might have seen him on Britain's Got Talent with Amanda Holden, who was also in the video and part of the Global Fam. So thanks, KSI, for the first question. But DC, over to you to answer it.
I'm a big fan of his work, and I would have thought he would know a little bit about neck strength because as a boxer, you've got to build that neck up. And I was kind of inspired by Mike Tyson and these guys who, would be hanging weights with chains around their neck. So that's kind of how I started before I got into the more sophisticated machines that we had in Formula One, where I would have a helmet attached to these weights, 30 kilograms, and I would just sit there grinding away. That's where the jaw kind of developed as well, because when you're grinding and lifting these weights just using your neck and you're strapped in, then of course you're going to build a big neck.
Don't do that in public. That was slightly scary.
Yeah, I apologise. So my good friend Amanda Holden, I was the best man at their wedding, by the way. Chris, my buddy. He doesn't make fun of my ever-increasing neck and jaw as I went through our friendship from teenager. But Amanda, having joined that party a bit later, has always made fun of the fact that I've got sort of gerbil jaw. And but I used to grind when I was in the car and squeeze my teeth together.
Yeah.
And because I was working so hard behind the wheel that's basically my teeth line is very narrow, and my jaw, because of the muscles, has been pulled to extend the width of my jaw, which
Jawline
is
goals.
Yeah, well, there you go. If you want a square jaw,
We need to do some videos of you guys showing us some exercises.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because
Look,
I think
more than
we would be
welcome.
terrible.
all I need is a 30-kilogram weight, and I can hang it off my head and show you. It's not sexy, but it's really, really important to build those neck muscles.
Because how much does a helmet weigh? In this
kilograms.
Depends
day
on
and
the
age?
helmet, but yeah, you can get it down to like 2 kilos. It's quite, yeah.
Okay, but
light.
let's say 2-3
Well, heavier
kilos,
when you
right?
add it up to your head
Times
weight.
that by 5 if you're 5G into a corner. So you've then got 10 kilos, right, on your neck. For any normal person, that's 10 bags of sugar, right? Now imagine that suddenly shifting from left to right, forwards, backwards, the immediate changes of pace, corner by corner, straight, braking,
Well, it's like a roller
17,
coaster.
18 times
If you've been on a roller
lap,
coaster,
yeah.
and you're sort of there, you're at the mercy of the twists and turns. Well, you're doing that with a weight on your head.
I quite like my job with the microphone, to be honest. I'd like to see how Max's jawline now compares, Naomi.
Well, you definitely will get to see Max's jawline in our interview, which we keep teasing is coming out on Thursday. But I promise you guys that after this short break, you're going to get to see just a little bit more of the real Max. You guys raced against each other in the past, and I think, DC, maybe you want to tell us how that went for you.
Yeah, well, you're referencing when Max and I did a single shootout lap around Imola, couple of years ago in what was the V8 Formula One. And look, I just don't think it's appropriate ahead of this season to talk about how much quicker I was than Max. So can we move on to the next question? Max, are you comfortable with that?
I was not even thinking about Imola. I was just thinking Monaco, what night?
A lot of
He
fun
was
that out.
5 seconds quicker than me, I think. Am I remembering that correctly, or was it 6 seconds?
No, it was not 5 seconds, DC. Come on.
5 seconds. That's huge. I mean, ouch. That must have really hurt,
Yeah.
DC. Sorry about that.
It did. It reminded me why I retired.
I mean, I think a lot of people could have expected that to happen, but 5 seconds is a little bit more than even I would have anticipated out of you, DC. Come on.
Yeah, but you know what? I think Max has got real potential.
I should do something with it instead of just being a taxi driver in Monaco.
He does drive very well in Monaco. He's referencing that when we go for a little bite to eat, or sometimes on a celebration, a wee drink.
Yeah, well,
Then he
of
doesn't
course.
drive, of course.
No, of course. We don't expect that. But of course, it's important to celebrate, isn't it? I mean, that was a great chat. Don't know what you've seen some clips of it, but it
loved
was
it.
a wonderful version of
What's
Max.
really great is if you watch it on YouTube and Global Player, you'll be able to see his expression. But if you're listening to it, you can hear the joy and just how comfortable he is. And I think we forget how long he's been around Formula One. 12 years in Formula One
it's
now.
crazy to
and he's
think.
only 28. Like, we forget he has grown up in front of our eyes. I remember this. And he was a kid, 16 years old, turning up to Formula One for the first time. And those of us who'd followed his career, from karting all the way through, you knew he was going to be special. You knew there was the potential for him to be great. Yeah. For him to be this good, to change what we understand Formula One to be in the way that he has, and to mature into, the rounded individual that he has as well. It's great to see just how comfortable he is and where he's at in life.
I have to say, I grew up alongside Max in karting. Obviously, he's a couple years younger than me, not that many. But I remember seeing him at the go-kart track. And besides seeing him, because I grew up in South Africa, and when I was racing there was all this talk of this Max Verstappen. I happen to be Belgian. He runs a Dutch flag, but he is Belgian, and I keep fighting him on this. He is Belgian. His mother's Belgian. He's been born there. So, Max, you're Belgian today. And I always used to go there for summer holidays. You'll hear about it in the episode. And I used to see Max on track, and you could just see that he was just different. I mean, the things that he could do in any category that he's raced in, he's always been great. And it doesn't come as a huge shock that he's great in Formula One, but I think to see everybody else coming to that realization, including the greats, is like, okay, this is a generational talent.
You talk about that. We spoke earlier. I did that one race weekend with him in America. It was open data in the championship. So after every session, you'd have layovers and everyone would be able to see who was running, how much throttle trace, how much brake trace. And Max was straight out of go-karts, right? No open wheel experience at all. And he's up against cream of the crop in Formula 3 and Formula 4 at the time. And every single one of them was looking up at that screen, unable to fathom how Max was doing what he was doing on track from that point. And you saw kids whose dreams were shattered in front of them because this kid had turned up who was exponentially better
he
than them already.
hasn't stopped shattering dreams.
Yeah,
No, he's a phenomenon.
I love him.
He is.
I just love him.
Well, actually, so explain that then, because look, we all know him very well, but for the audience at home and representing the younger generation, go young. What is it? What is
Wait,
it
I'm
about?
so sad that I've been left out of this young
You
thing.
aged yourself.
Have I
You
now?
put 2 years over Max.
I've peaked, basically.
I'll get to you in a minute, Naomi, but Jolie, please. So I'm always curious as to how people become fans of different drivers. And maybe we're a bit spoiled because we're on the inside. But for our audience that are maybe tuning in for the first time, how do you pick a driver that you can relate to? Is it colour of their car, or is it listening to their comments when they're out of the car?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And everyone will be completely different to who they love. Some people will, let's be blunt, love Charles because he's so good looking. That's something we can all agree on, just
Me.
like you, DC.
Absolutely.
For anyone that isn't watching this visually, DC
We
put his
agree.
hand up. But others, it will
beautiful
be on their personality. For me, Max is, I think, less so now. He came across really well when Lando won the championship last season, but he can be Marmite. Either love him or you hate him. I love him. For me, he's a winner. I love that he's not here for the nonsense. I love the F1 side of the glitz and the glam, but I can also really respect that he doesn't like that, and he's not pretending he enjoys it. And that, for me, is enough to kind of make made me love him.
You ask how people become fans. I was a DC fan. When I was
sorry for
younger.
you.
No, mate.
I still am.
When I was
Thank
I
you.
was a kid, I sent a card to Williams to congratulate you on your first win. I think Portugal.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm sorry.
And you sent me a signed photograph, which, and we talked about this many years later. You said, "Oh, Anne Bradshaw likely signed that for me. She was my press officer at Williams at the
Annie, I
time, and she
love
was
her.
just signing reams and reams." I had it on my shelf as a kid for years and years
Still
and
do,
years and years.
apparently.
One thing, well, I appreciate your support, Will, and I'm sorry I let you down on track. But one thing that did surprise me several years ago was when Susie Wolff told me that she had a poster of me on her wall. But then when you grow up north in Scotland, there's maybe not much to aspire to.
It's got to be that jawline we talked about.
is that- okay.
Maybe the neck. Maybe
Toto's
the
got
neck.
a bit of a jaw, hasn't he?
Yeah,
He's 8 foot tall.
the DC photos were all landscape rather than portrait, just to fit the jaw in.
Well, guys, you can see that we're going to have a lot to talk about this season. There's a lot to talk about on track. There's a lot to talk about off track. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be great? Well, whichever way it goes, we're going to be the ones who are going to keep you all up to speed. So make sure, if you're not following us on socials, head over there now. On socials, we're at Up to Speed Show. You can also email us if you prefer. It's uptospeed@global.com. And our episodes are going to come out every Monday, every Thursday. So make sure that you guys are subscribed. Make sure you like, make sure you follow, and leave us a comment wherever there's an option to do that. We will see you very, very soon, guys. That was it. It's
That
a
was
wrap.
it.
The first
Wow.
episode.
Wow.
It was excellent.
I
but-
think
Guys,
snaps.
Thumbs up.
No, snaps, DC.
Oh, okay, snaps. Okay,
Snaps,
you got me
snaps,
snapping.
snaps.
There you go.
And we're back on Thursday to hear you guys with Max Verstappen. That
Yes,
deserves more
we
snaps.
Oh, I'm into it.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
Max
You've
Verstappen
got a
on
flow.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Come back for
It's
that,
not for me.
everybody.
This has been a Global Player original production.